Hey everyone, it's Kelly here, and today I wanted to walk you through how I'm going to create and set up a new Lightroom catalog for 2019. Now the reason that I'm doing this is because I've got a little over 20,000 photos in my existing catalog. They date back from the end of 2015 all the way through 2018, and it there's no actual technical limit to the number of photos that you can have in a Lightroom catalog. I found though that especially towards the end of this year it started to be a little bit sluggish, which is one of the things that can happen whenever you get a large volume of photos in your Lightroom catalog. So that's one reason, and the other reason is just sort of like a clean fresh start type of thing. So anyway, let me show you what I'm going to do. First of all, I would just like you to notice over here on the right, I've got a folder here called 2019 Photos. And so far, that's all I've done. It's in my main pictures folder, for all of my 2019 images. Okay, so back here in Lightroom, to create a new catalog, just go up to File and select New Catalog. And it's going to come up with a screen to ask you where you want to save it and what do you want to call it. So I'm just going to call mine the 2019 Lightroom catalog, and I'm going to place it inside of my 2019 Photos folder. I'm going to say Create. And notice here in my 2019 Photos folder, now I've got a folder called 2019 Lightroom catalog. So this is where all of my catalog files are stored, but my photos will not be stored in this folder. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, but I just want to make that important distinction. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom then with my 2019 Lightroom catalog, and to get started here I'm going to click the Import button, and I'm going to insert my SD card into the back here, and that should pull up this device that I can select all of these photos for. Okay, so these are all of the photos that I've taken this year so far, and I've got them all selected. I've got check all. And over here on the right, I'm going to do a couple of things. These are things that normally happen before your photos even get imported. And the first thing that I do is I rename my image files. And to do that, I've created a template here. You can click on the template in this Edit option, and that will give you a template editor. And basically what I've got are my initials, an underscore, a date in this format. You can choose different date formats. You could just say insert here, and that'll give you these little boxes of information. But for me and the types and number of photos that I shoot, this has been working for me. If you have a method that works for you, by all means stay with it. But I've been in the habit of taking a photo every day, so I like having the date in my photo. But if you were a professional photographer or didn't take as many photos, you might not want to have the date. It's completely up to you. Like I said, this is just what works for me. So I haven't made any changes here, so I'm just going to say done, and that's going to apply that file name when I import my photos. I'm not going to apply any develop settings, but one thing that I want to do is create a copyright. Here's the 2018 copyright that I had, but I want to edit that for 2019. So I'm going to say Edit Presets. If I come down here and say 2018 copyright, it's got the copyright symbol, the year, the name, and all rights reserved. That's a pretty standard one. Like I said, I'm not really a professional, so I don't need anything too much more specific than that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to update it to 2019, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to save this current setting as a new preset, and I'm just going to call it 2019 copyright. And I'm going to say create, and I'm going to say done. So now all of my photos will have 2019 my 2019 copyright information embedded in the metadata. It's a good idea to put a copyright on your photos. It's a good practice. Okay, so next I want to tell Lightroom where I want to place my photos, and I'm going to do it in this 2019 photos folder. But I like to also organize my photos by month. So it would be 2019 photos, and then it would be 01 2019 for all of the photos that I take in January. To do that, I'm going to right click on 2019 and I'm going to say create a new folder. And it's going to pull up a window here. I'm just going to say new folder and I'm going to type in 01 2019 and I'm going to say create and I'm going to say choose. Okay, so within my 2019 folder, I have a folder for January 2019. I'm also going to organize my photos by date, so each day's photos will get their own subfolder with this date format. Now, once again, this might seem like way extra in terms of organization, but like I said, for me, and the types of photos that I take and the number of photos that I take, this is what works. If you have a system that works for you, by all means stick with it. I'm not here to tell you how to organize your photos. I'm just sharing what works with me. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say import. And then it's going to copy all of the photos from my SD card and bring them into my Lightroom catalog. So one thing I would like to point out, if we come over to my Finder window, if I open this 2019 catalog, notice it's the same Lightroom files in here. There are no photos being stored in my Lightroom catalog. If I expand this January 2019 folder, you can see that it's getting populated with all of the images that I'm bringing in, and it's in the format in terms of this folder structure that I set up. These are just some temporary folders, I think, as it's going through the import process. But notice there are no image files within my Lightroom catalog, and this is really important. This is sort of a fundamental aspect of working in Lightroom, and it's really important to understand that basically, Lightroom is only an interface between you and your photos. It applies these types of this metadata that I set up. You know, when you get into editing photos, it applies all of these different edits, but it's not actually storing that. There are no photos being stored. I'm simply looking at my photos through Lightroom. So anyway, I just wanted to make that really clear. You can see here in this 01 2019 folder, I have 4 subfolders with the photos from those 4 days. And if I come over here into my Lightroom catalog and I look at my folders panel, if I come up here and I say show parent folder, you can see a little more of the hierarchy. Expand that and show parent folder here. So if I now expand this, this is basically just a snapshot of what my photo organization is on my hard drive. So super important to make sure you understand how that works, because that's how everything else is built. Anyway, so if I click on a photo, you can see here in the metadata, it's applied my 2019 copyright. It's also changed the name of the image according to the preset that I had set up. So that's how easy it is to start a Lightroom catalog. It's just about putting some photos in and getting started. And if you haven't used Lightroom before, this is what I want to say about that. If you're like me, I mean, you've got years and years and years of photos on your computer, on your external hard drives, in the cloud, wherever. I get it. Like, we've all got a ton of photos. And if you're trying to get started in Lightroom and before you even get started, you're trying to think about all of these years of photos that you want to bring in, I would just like to encourage you to let's just start with 2019, because you can bring in all of those later on. You know, if you've already got them set up in folders and you're thinking, oh, I need to, redo it for Lightroom, you really don't. But just as a way to get started, to kind of get over the hump if you've been putting it off because you're, trying to decide how you want to store them or how you want to organize them, or keywords and blah blah blah. It just is so much to worry about, and I really do think it causes a lot of roadblocks in terms of getting started. So start simple. Let's just start with 2019, and then you can build on from there. And the other thing is, my guess is that however you've been looking at your photos before, if you have not been using Lightroom, whatever software you've been using, maybe it's Aperture or some other sort of photo software, you already know how that works. You already know how to navigate that, and you already know how to find the photos for all of the years that you have stored in that particular setup. So maybe if you're thinking about using Lightroom this year, why not make a fresh start with 2019 and just start here with, we're 5 days in, it's 5 days worth of photos. That's really simple, and we can totally do this. So if you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'd be happy to help to the best I can. Like I said, I'm not trying to tell you how to organize your photos or your Lightroom catalog. I'm just showing you what works for me. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.